Hello everyone, my name is Soybean56 and welcome to the Beta World Tour. This is a continuation of a video that I made a while ago called the Alpha World Tour. This world that you see before you was made in Alpha 1.0.1 and I've upgraded all the way to Minecraft Beta 1.8. This video that you will be watching today will encompass everything that I've done in Beta Minecraft. Now I have to tell you, I've spent an entire year in Beta Minecraft. The whole year of 2025 has been devoted to playing these beta versions of Minecraft. I have a lot to say and I have a lot to show, so please sit back and enjoy the show. It will mean a great deal to me. Let's get started. Alright, before we hop into the meat and potatoes of this world tour, the first thing I'm going to mention is I am in creative mode. So the main reason I am doing this tour in Beta 1.8 is not only because it is the last version of Beta, but the creative mode is very helpful. Just like the last world tour, I'm going to be flying around to make this go a lot faster and a lot easier for me. I know it's not as authentic, but it's going to make my life a lot easier. So hopefully you can understand that. And second thing is, we're in the alpha chunks. If you remember these chunks, this is what I talked about in the last video. Now, we're not going to be here for long, but the reason why we're here is because the first build that I built in beta was actually in these chunks. So if we turn around, so from beta 1.0 to beta 1.1_02, there isn't a whole lot of changes in Minecraft's gameplay. There's a lot of things that changed, like the server stuff and just some bugs and tooltips are like the biggest gameplay difference when it comes to vanilla Minecraft at the time. So compared to Alpha 1.2, which is where I ended in these chunks, it was pretty much unchanged. It played exactly the same. So I decided to kind of pay homage to that, to build the last thing in these chunks. Welcome to the ABRL. Why is it there's an L there? It shouldn't be. Anyway, welcome to the ABRL station, the Alpha Beta Rail Line. Well, that explains it. If I just learned to read, maybe things would go a little bit easier. This is the train station built in Beta 1.0 to Beta 1.1_02. Basic interior, we got a bunch of glowstone, and this is a clock up here, and these paintings behind here, behind the ticket desk, this is supposed to be a map. Now, of course, there is no item frames and no maps in Beta 1.0 or all through Alpha and Beta Minecraft, so of course you can't display maps properly, but maybe in due time, when I get to the version where I can place maps on walls, which I believe that is release 1.7, I will put this here and maybe have a whole mapped out area of the Alpha mining town here. So yeah, there's a nice deck out here that was never supported because I forgot. But this is a deck that looks out into the village over here, the Pueblo village, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is a rail that goes all the way to the new beta area. Now, this rail was built much later. When I first built this building, this rail was not here, obviously. As you can see, there's some powered rails and stuff here, so this was built much later in beta Minecraft. But this rail does connect all the way to the new area, and it's about 2,500 blocks. So this is the build, the last build in these alpha chunks, and the first build to be shown today. With this, we're going to say goodbye to the alpha chunks. We will see them probably again far in the future, me at least anyway. So wave goodbye to them as we move on to the new beta area. So I should explain, I moved into new chunks in beta 1.2, and my reason for that was I wanted to have the new trees immediately. I didn't want to move to new chunks in beta 1.0 and have the trees get fucked up almost immediately because of how leaf decay works and how updating the beta 1.2 messes up leaves on trees. You might have seen a bit of it in the alpha chunks. So I decided to not have that issue. I want my chunks to still look good, at least in the new chunks, and that's why I decided to move in that way. And I subsequently also decided in 1.0, when I'm done here, I will be moving into new chunks then, even though beta 1.8 changed everything in terms of terrain generation. So it's not about changing when the terrain, it's not about moving when the terrain changes, it's about moving when I find it most convenient, if that makes any sense. Very first thing is the beta homestead, so let's go over here. It's this building right here. Now, as we go over here, yep, the beta homestead built in beta 1.2 to beta 1.2_02. And I remember beta 1.2 being rather fast in terms of how I played through it. I didn't stay in beta 1.2 very long. I did a lot in it, but I didn't play for very long. So this house here is rather basic, just a square house. Nothing really to talk about here. And this was kind of the main living quarters for at least a little bit. And I kind of flattened out this area and it eventually expanded it down here. And this is the beta homestead expansion. Finished with a doorbell that opens a door. And we have the interior in this expansion. But before we talk about this, let's go up here. So yeah, this is the actual inside of the beta homestead. There's almost nothing in here anymore. There's some tools left over. Because this house I really didn't use, and I didn't even use the expansion over there. I basically left this house. I didn't really live in this house for the majority of beta, or for like half the time I was here. So there's only a couple of things that remain. And as we go back down here, this was a storage area that basically became useless, and I eventually got cobwebs, which I will talk about later, and place them in here just to signify that it's unused, old. Here we are, the beta homestead expansion. A very Minecrafty looking house here. I decided to use a lot of stone slabs because I knew in beta 1.3 and beyond, crafting stone slabs gets a little bit harder to do. So I tried to take advantage of that aspect. Breaking and placing slabs is not easy. It really isn't easy all through old school Minecraft, especially up here. You have to like do this weird system of like breaking the block above and making so you can get a double slab. Because if you just place a slab, how do I demonstrate this? So if I just take a slab, and well, that's not gonna work. Let's do it like that. So if I put a slab here, you can't place a slab here to fill this out. So you have to do everything going upwards, basically, like this. Whoops. Oh, you can't pick block in beta 1.8? What is this garbage? So moving on, this is kind of like the kitchen area. We got some brick going on here. Just a nice little alcove into the storage area. This kitchen has dispensers. Now, my thought with these dispensers was to put food in here. I had pork chops and bread in here for a while, and it wasn't like, ultra convenient, or it wasn't really ultra efficient to have food just sitting here and flick the dispenser. But it was a way for me to use the dispensers. I'm not a redstone guy. A lot of people are redstone inclined. I'm not. So this was the best way I could come up with using a dispenser. Just like a nice little food delivery system. Same with the furnaces here. Oh, I actually got pork chops in here. Pretty cool. Yeah, this is where I cooked some of my food. And we have some food stored here. One pork chop left. We have a living room here that's relatively just decorative. We got a nice table, some lapis blocks, and a cake. Now, I love these lapis blocks. I've always thought they are very interesting looking compared to everything else in this game. I don't know who made this texture. I mean, it's either Notch or Jeb. I would assume Jeb, but it's a very interesting texture. Most Minecraft textures, other than like specific things like bookshelves, I guess, but most like textures have like 3 or 4 colors max, and this one seems like it has like 7. So it's a very interesting block to use for building, if you can get your hands on some lapis. Especially in beta 1.2, lapis really has no use other than dyeing wool, and I didn't really have any wool to dye other than what I already did. So down here is a mine entrance that connects with the actual mine that I started, which is over there. And I didn't use this a whole lot, but it was a way for me to get over there, for if I had to. Now that mine eventually became my living quarters, which I will talk about in a minute. So this really isn't that. This really was obsolete, even though this is a huge ass staircase, and it took a lot of gold and redstone to make this powered rail. But so yeah, pretty obsolete, this staircase, but it is something that I built when I first built this house. This is the sunroom. Now this is where I started the video, and it's a nice little like patio kind of porch situation, like an enclosed patio. This was meant to be kind of the vibes room, okay? The room where you just kind of sit, relax, listen to Minecraft music, because I have the music discs here. So this is where you just meant to relax and AFK for a while if you want to. So this was purely decorative room, have the new painting, and I'm pretty sure when I first built this, I put the painting here, and it was the, you know, in beta 1.2 they didn't have the actual texture, it was all purple. I'll put that screenshot on screen. Yeah, and we have my dog here. This is what I got in beta 1.4. We named him Rags. So yeah, that is pretty much the sunroom here. Bedroom, the last room in the house. So unlike the bedroom in the Alpha house, the Alpha mansion, it's not very extravagant. It's rather small, but its purpose is still pretty much the same. In this chest here, we have a bunch of unobtainable / quirky items, as well in this furnace. So in this furnace we have a clock, and now you might not think this is that special, but in versions prior to beta 1.5 you can actually put an item in the output slot of the furnace for storage. You can place anything in the output slot, and for some reason I decided to put a clock here. And I think my original idea was I was going to build a grandfather clock type build, and I just got lazy and put a clock in this furnace. So, but the idea is there in spirit, I suppose. So if I actually take this out, this is a copy of the world, so I will do this. If I take this out, you see I can't put it back. We have all of the quirky things that I got throughout beta, and the very first thing is the locked chest. Now this locked chest was actually obtained legit in beta 1.4. Throughout this year of 2025, I actually updated to beta 1.4 on April Fool's Day this year, April 1st, 2025. Not really understanding what day it was, and I went around and grabbed these locked chests because I didn't have to modify the date on my computer or anything. It was relatively convenient. So I was only able to get one locked chest, it seemed. I had a hard time finding any more than that. Moving on, we get to stacked tools. Now these stacked tools were obtained in beta 1.6, one of the beta 1.6 versions, and there's many different ways to do this. I think you can even do this in beta 1.7, but the way I did it is there's some weird quirk with tools in beta 1.6 where if you like hover out of your inventory and like left clicked or whatever, you could like drop infinite amount of these to the point where the stack would roll over. You would get like a negative stack tool and it would roll over into the positive, and that's how I got these stacked tools. The next thing is stone bricks. Now, of course, so this is a relatively late thing. The stone bricks here were mined in beta 1.8, obviously made in beta 1.8 as well. And the way I got these is stairs. Stairs are weird in beta 1.8. I'll have to demonstrate that later because I will be talking about this later. If you mine stairs a certain way, they drop a different block, and they dropped these special stone bricks. They're not the same as regular stone bricks. So next thing is a bucket of milk, but this isn't any ordinary bucket of milk. This is what is this? A squid milk. I couldn't think of the mob. Yeah, this is squid milk. I actually milked a squid. Now functionally, in terms of Minecraft, this is just the same as milking a cow. It's not a different item. It's the same item, but this is, you know, the exact, this is the item that I made to milk a squid. So not super special, but regardless, it's there. And the last thing, just like eggs in Alpha Minecraft, in Alpha 1.2, I have a stack of ender pearls that's stacked to 64, and I got this legit by hunting endermen in beta 1.8 here for a good long while. This is actually the last thing I did in this world was get those ender pearls, because it was something I put off for so long. Endermen are super destructive in beta Minecraft. In beta 1.8, they will take any block and place it anywhere. You'll move anything, even bedrock, I think. So they're extremely annoying. So I spent a lot of time in peaceful mode because I didn't want my world to be ugly as hell. But I did kill a bunch of Endermen to get these Ender Pearls, and I think the Ender Pearl drop is a lot more forgiving in Beta 1.8 as well. So yeah, that is everything in the special items chest here, and that's everything for the Homestead expansion. There is not much to talk about else here, so let's move on to the next thing. So this building here is the early beta wheat farm, built in beta 1.2. Now this was the last thing I built in beta 1.2, and as the name suggests, it was a wheat farm that I had in early beta, and it's gone pretty much unused. I haven't used this to grow wheat in a while. Now for some reason I didn't decide to tear this down. I think it's because I placed so much glass, and I just didn't want to break it all. It would hurt my soul if I did that. And so I just left it here. And one thing to note, what this reminds me of anyway, one thing to note is that when I moved into these new chunks, I took all of my resources from Alpha with me. I didn't have a fresh start. Now, in retrospect, that was pretty stupid, because I think I would enjoy beta a little bit more if I had a fresh start. I'm going to be doing that in release for sure this time, I promise. So nothing to really talk about here, so let's move on, other than what I already discussed. So let's move on to the next thing over here. So what we have here is the Industrial Province. This is where I spent most of my time in beta Minecraft. This is where I put all of my farms, all of my storage, pretty much everything that I ever needed to get access to is in this little area right here. And initially, when I built this, I actually dug this pit in the ground. Shout out to Alpha Minecraft, where I did the same thing, but this was actually for a mine. So this pit here, I started digging in beta 1.2, so I definitely had this planned back when I was building that house, the homestead. So this pit here was originally going to go all the way down, but I got lazy and I just decorated it with some TNT, you know, a little texture to it, and I made this building here. So this was the next thing that I built, and this is called the Cobble Shack. The Cobble Shack mining outpost, built in beta 1.3. For some reason, I absolutely love this building. It is so painfully simplistic, and it's not very detailed, but for some reason I absolutely love this thing. This was used as my main living area for all of beta Minecraft. Up here we have where I would sleep, very little decoration, a wall of furnaces that I never really used, and yeah, and then we just had some mob storage up here, and like things like food and the flowers and all sorts of stuff, even slime balls. And we had some tools and redstone related stuff, and miscellaneous stuff in here as well. If we head down into the main entrance, head down the slab staircase, and I used cobblestone slabs, which were new. Oh, whoops. I forgot that I'm in creative mode. I used cobblestone slabs because that was new in beta 1.3, and that's where the whole idea to build this building came in the first place. So this is the main storage area and the main smelting area. Each of these furnaces had a lot of coal in them. Honest to God, I had negative stacked coal in this furnace, and I've used so much coal that it's actually naturally rolled over to what you see here. So I did a lot of smelting and a lot of ooh, there's even iron here. So yeah, speaking of which, this is all of my resources. This is everything I have left. Everything I have left in my name. For lapis, redstone, coal, even charcoal, which I forgot that charcoal and coal were the same texture. That's absolutely retarded. That should have been changed when they added charcoal. But 11 diamonds is all I have left in my name. I've mined diamonds a million times, and I've gone through a lot. Even with having stacked tools, I went through so much. As much as enchanting is dumb in Release 1.0, I can't wait to have some unbreaking tools. It's gonna make my life so much easier. So yeah, this was the main storage area. It's not very efficient, unlike the Alpha house, but this worked. This worked for all of beta Minecraft, and I have nothing really to complain about here. So this main purpose, the second purpose of this building was a mine entrance. So actually, before we go down into the mine, we have to talk about Pat the Slime. So sometime in beta 1.8, I think it was beta 1.8, yeah, I found a slime. I'll post a screenshot, and it was in my minecart, and I tried to preserve it, but hostile mobs despawn in beta 1.8, and without a name tag, which doesn't even exist yet, you can't get them to last forever. So this was something just stupid and silly, but anyway, let's go into the mine entrance. So this is, let's do F5 here. Yeah, this is a very messy zigzag mine rail setup here. God, that is very painful to watch. I'm sorry. Oh, of course, the bedrock fog, I forgot. But anyway, we'll just go back up. So this is a rail that kind of zigzags and goes all the way down. And of course, when I built this, it was beta 1.3. We didn't have powered rails yet, and I was using the minecart boosting trick, which existed in alpha as well. So this was a lot more messy originally. This was a hell of a disaster to set up. I might post a screenshot yet again, or maybe even a video clip of what this looked like in beta 1.3. So this is the main mine, and we go all the way down here, and this looks like every other mining setup that I usually do in Minecraft. We have 3 or 4 main tunnels, and they all branch off and have little strip mines that go off of them. So important thing to note, if I press F3, if you check the X coordinate, we are in negative 2461 and Z 62. I was an idiot, and I traveled into negative chunks in beta. If you don't know, there is a bug that exists from InfDev all the way to beta 1.6 that reduces ore spawn rates in negative chunks. So if you're in negative chunks, your ore will spawn less frequently than it would in positive chunks. So for anyone who does like a forever world or evolutionary world in the way that I've done it here, make sure you do that. Make sure you are always in positive X and positive Z coordinates. Your life will be a lot easier. I was a dumbass and didn't do that, so I paid for it. I did a lot of mining. I guess in a way it helped because I needed a shit ton of cobblestone anyway. So the next thing after this is the tree farms. So when I built this thing, I naturally decided to spread this area or develop this area. So I built this oak tree farm. Yep, you see oak tree farm built in beta 1.3, and this sign also encompasses this as well. I just didn't label it. Yeah, so from beta 1.3 to beta 1.4 is when I did the developing these tree farms, and I developed this area. There's a walkway here that goes all the way around, and it's even over here as well. So you might be thinking, I'm in beta 1.4, and all I've done so far in this world is the Homestead and this. And you know what? I had And when this meaning the cobble shack in these farms. And you know what? I had the same exact thought. So that's why I built this tower in beta 1.4, which we'll talk about next. So I wanted to build something decorative, and they start expanding this area to be more of a build site rather than just a simple house and farm and mining area. So I built this tower, which I call the Tower of Peace 2. If you remember from the alpha area, we had the Tower of Peace, which was made of all glass and stone slabs, basically. And this is inspired by that, basically. So the Tower of Peace 2, built in beta 1.4_01. So this tower functions like any other tower that I've built. It has many levels, but it's a bit more rustic in terms of its design. In the bottom here, we have many crafting tables and a nice gravel floor. Now, when I look at this gravel block, I think of shag carpet. I've talked about this even way back in Classic Plus. So if we head up here, this is the first level. There is a bed here in case I needed to sleep, which I did use a couple of times. And these levels increase all the way to the top. Now, they actually get smaller as you go to the top, as you can tell by the shape of the building. Using the new wooden slabs in beta 1.3, I was very excited to finally get some more building blocks. You have no idea how much that made me happy. We move up all the way till we get to the last layer that's kind of in this circular shape, and we get to the more square part here, which is very reminiscent of the original Tower of Peace. And then the last level here, this is kind of funny, the last level up here, like, you can't even see out of. It's like a, well, you can kind of see out of it, I suppose. But, oh, there's missing blocks up here. How'd that happen? Well, I guess I'll fix that. So yeah, this is the Tower of Peace 2. I didn't use this a whole lot, to be fully honest. It is kind of in the wrong spot, because originally when I built this thing, I thought I was going to be building more stuff over here, or over there. There's even a little dirt tower over there, where I was going to build something and never did. So yeah, I thought this was going to be kind of the center of all things, but that quickly changed. So yep, didn't use it a whole lot, but it is pretty cool to see, pretty cool to have, and I quite like how it looks. Okay, we have reached the halfway point of Minecraft beta 1.5. It was right around this time where I started to really be more self-conscious about what I was building, because I was halfway through beta and it was roughly May of 2025, and I had not done much building other than what I've already previously discussed. Now, a wheat farm this late into beta was especially not that important. For whatever reason, this was just the idea that I had. Of course, I already had the wheat farm over there, which I talked about, so this wasn't needed, but for some reason I needed to build it, and I did the classic wheat farm setup. That's, you know, has the water, you break the blocks, and the water flows and destroys the crops. Now, I didn't make this automated. I didn't put pistons or anything in there, when we got to pistons or anything. But I decided, even though I built this wheat farm, this was kind of where I decided that with each farm that I made, I would build something to go along with it. So I built the silo. Of course, this makes sense in my brain. You have a bunch of wheat, you put it in a silo. I guess it's more or less used for corn and stuff in real life, but whatever, this is what I decided to do. Wheat storage silo built in beta 1.5_01. The interior here is nothing to really be impressed about. Pretty vacant in here. Oh wow, looks like an Enderman stole some cloth out of my silo. That is quite annoying. I love Enderman, best feature, you know? So this is all the wheat that I have left. This chest was initially full, completely maxed out, and I used a lot of bread in my time in beta. So, yep, there isn't really anything in here other than this. And the design of the silo is simply smooth stone, or not smooth stone, this is called just stone, and sandstone. And up here, as we get to the top of the silo, it's using wool, which is annoyingly been destroyed by the Enderman. So the dome of this was kind of hard to figure out, but I think it actually looks really nice. I think it's a nice shape because the domes on silos can vary. They can look kind of flat almost, not very rounded, not like a half sphere. Um, so I was really happy with this silo. It was the tallest thing in this world other than the tower at the time. So the tower and the silo, this world was starting to come together, and I was starting to feel more of this area. Because honest to God, early on in the beta playthrough, I was very severely thinking of quitting because I was not happy with how this was looking. For some reason, alpha was a lot more fun, and I know alpha is worse in almost every single way than beta Minecraft in terms of what you can do. I just had more fun in those versions, and I was, starting to feel the less inspiration around here. But yeah, things like the tower and the silo really just helped me kind of shape this world into what it is. So the last thing I built in beta 1.5 was this. The cargo truck, requested by Yoniko. This truck was something that he wanted me to make because I think he thinks it's funny when people build vehicles in Minecraft because they usually look ridiculous, and they do. So he actually helped me, or at least guided me to make this look as good as possible in beta 1.5. This truck is extremely goofy. Okay, I don't like it, honest to God, I hate it, but it's part of the world now. I can't get rid of it. So it looks pretty much like your standard vehicle. We got glowstone for the headlights and buttons here for, I don't know, some sort of texturing thing. We got obsidian for tires and buttons for like rims or like hubcaps or whatever. And in the back of the truck here, we have things that might be used in the area. We got some logs. We got the logs, got some gold, gravel, sandstone, maybe. I don't know why, but yeah, this is the truck. The only cool thing in here is that I have one of these goofy levers. This is something you can do up till beta 1.5. You can't do this in beta 1.6, and that is have these. If you place a lever on like the roof of a block or like on the floor, or no, levers can be placed on the floor. They just can't be placed on like the ceilings or the bottoms of blocks. When you place a lever on the bottoms of block or against glass, I think is how I did this. It doesn't. It places oddly, and the model gets all messed up. So, and I think this still works. Yeah, it does work. So, yeah, it is a lever. It's just the model's completely messed up. So that is a bug that most people know about, but I think this was a cool way of showcasing that. So now we move on to beta 1.6, and I gotta tell you, it feels like I'm updating through beta Minecraft very fast, and that's probably what some of you are thinking, like, wow, you updated way too fast, you barely did anything in any of these versions. And honestly, I didn't. It was like a version a month. I spent a month in each version of Minecraft, but as we reached springtime, and like I said, beta 1.5, beta 1.6 was kind of beginning of the summertime, in 2025, I played this world less and less, and I didn't want to stay in one version for too long, because I made the mistake in alpha playing in alpha 1.2 for way too long. Unfortunately, I did it regardless, because I had all these ideas, and I could barely do any of them near the end. So, a whole year was not enough time. Who would have thought? But let's move on to beta 1.6, and what I did in that version. And first thing is the double-decker reed farm. It's built in beta 1.6.2 to beta 1.6.5. I did not need a reed farm this big. Let me put that out there. I did not need this big, but I had all these materials and all these things to justify building this, so I decided to do it. And I had this really weird design in mind. So you come through here, and you have all this water that flows down, and we have jack-o'-lanterns that are lighting the floor here. And you can't farm pumpkins, by the way, so these were duped from alpha that I used. In the topic of duping, I didn't do any duping at all, other than those tools throughout beta. Some of this stuff is carried over from alpha, like I talked about earlier. You were supposed to come through here, grab all the reeds, and any excess reeds would flow and fall through here, and you could collect them. It was a weird design that I had. It's really not that efficient. Really, any of these item farms and like this are not that efficient until hoppers are added. Like, if I could line all of this with hoppers, then this would make a lot more sense. But unfortunately, it's just a huge waste of materials, to be honest with you. And like I said, there is the double-decker part. So we come up here to the staircase, and over here is the storage, or all the sugarcane that I used. And unsurprisingly, I did not fill any these later chests out. So yeah, this was my first experimentation with birch as a building block. There's no like good white building block other than like snow and cloth. And cloth is easy, or wool is easy to get in beta, but for a short time. And birch is interesting to look at least, and I just wanted to try to see how it would look. And this building is rather ugly, don't get me wrong. So yeah, this is the reed farm. A very big, massive building that took up a lot of space. And it's definitely overkill. Okay, this was definitely the biggest overkill in this entire world. Did not mean to make this. And if I ever make a reed farm again, it will be a little bit smaller than this. Okay, the next thing in beta 1.6, and the last thing in beta 1.6, is the cactus farm and the wool and dye factory, built in beta 1.6.6. And I gotta tell you, I don't know why, I think my favorite version in beta was beta 1.6. And it wasn't just this factory and this cactus farm that I built. Beta 1.6.6 is where I spent a lot of time trying to develop this area, and also just develop the plans I have for the future anyway. For everything that you're going to see for the rest of this world tour, I developed in my brain in beta 1.6. This is a very basic cactus farm, built as you would expect. Kind of like an ethos style cactus farm, at least from what I remember. I don't remember exactly what his farms look like. These are very traditional, like brick factory looking buildings, and there's two of them. One houses pretty much cactus storage, and this houses all storage for cloth or wool. There isn't much left here, and this is, like I said, more overkill. I did not need this much space for a cactus farm. These buildings are mainly just decorative. That's really what they are, and that was what I was more focused on in this area of the world than I was purely about usage or useful type buildings. So, and then the next one is connected by this little garden area. My idea was that this is where they dump their toxic waste, I suppose. Too bad you can't dye water to make this like puke green or something. This leads into the second one. This is where all the cactus is, and to actually get to the cactus farm is down here. Boom. God, more Enderman destruction. Ugh, I hate Endermen so much. So yeah, there is the wool and dye factories. It was at this point where I was ready to move on to beta 1.7. Beta 1.7 is where I really wanted to expand this world properly, and it's where I really spent a lot of time focusing on like decorative building. Now that I had all of my farms in place to do whatever I wanted in terms of farming, this is where I wanted to focus more on the sandbox elements of this game. And it took me till June of this year is when I updated to beta 1.7. It took me till June of 2025 to get to that point, rather slowly, but we still made it regardless. The alpha area was known as the alpha mining town, obviously, but I wanted to make the same thing, but more extravagant in beta, and I was going to call it the beta city. Now, the very first step for that process was this down here, to make a large docking area. Now, I didn't really decorate this area as much as I wanted. Just, in fact, making it on its own was a lengthy process, especially getting all this sandstone. There is a desert that I decimated way over there to get all of this stuff, and that I use quite frequently, even for the silo. So, if we go down here, the industrial boat dock and shipyard built in beta 1.7, beta 1.7_01. So what these signs refer to is this part here, which is like a ship loading area, if like an actual ship came through, and then this is the boat dock down here. And I actually had regular Minecraft boats in here, but they all broke, so I stopped using them. I stopped using the boats here when I built this tunnel, but we'll get to that later. This dock also encompasses this part here, which this was also going to be something that never really turned out either. So everyone, welcome to this build here. You've seen it in the background this whole video, so it's not like, oh my god, where did this come from? But this build here and all of these bridges is what I call the Beta City train station. And if you're a keen eye and an old viewer of mine, this is a reconstruction of the N++SMP train station that I and many others built on the N++SMP server. If you don't know what that is, N++SMP was a server, and it was a series that me and a couple other people did, like, coincide. We coincided in a mod called N++, which is Not So Secret Saturday, which is like an alpha mod that, you know, expands on alpha Minecraft multiplayer and all sorts of stuff. Unfortunately, N++ as a mod has not been updated in years and is quite outdated. But the server software and everything was pretty good, and we had a lot of fun times on the server that we had. And one of the best things we made was this train station, and I've always wanted to rebuild this. I actually planned on rebuilding this in Alone in InfDev Plus before that series fell apart in the way that it did. So I've been very eager to rebuild this thing for a very long time, and building this train station that marks the halfway point of this area. I knew if I could build this thing and build it properly, I could build everything else around here, and we could finally have a completed and nice looking area. And I'm very happy with this thing. It gave me a lot of memories rebuilding this thing. Memories of building this with people that I haven't talked to much anymore, like Gyration, Greffen and I keep in touch a little bit. SteleCat, you know, or SteleCat and I still talk quite a bit, but with people like Mono and many members of N++SMP, even Dirt Piper, the lead dev himself, I have not talked to in a few years. Welcome to Mega Build 2 Beta City Train Station. Reconstruction of the N++SMP train station, as I already said. This build began on July 1st, 2025, and was finished August 10th, so just over a month this took me to make. I spent 2.5 months in beta 1.7.3 total of 119 hours in that version. Build specs of this build are 34 by 34 blocks length and width, and 64 blocks high, because this was built on the sea level. This doesn't include the bottom half, I don't think, but from this main level up is 64 blocks. This build marks the end of Golden Age beta, and when I was done with this, I moved on to beta 1.8. So, Mega Build 2. Well, if you don't remember, the first Mega Build was the Fort Lofty, in Alpha 1.1. And when I finished that, I moved on to Alpha 1.2. So I wanted to do something similar, and that's what I did. When I was done with this build, I moved on to Beta 1.8, the version of Minecraft that many people hate, and that we are currently sitting in. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So I know we were just inside the train station, but I want to enter it the way that I've been entering it for the past several months. So let's go through here. This is the underground tunnel. I call it the cookies and cream tunnel because we got birch and obsidian here, and it's like this nice pattern with glowstone. And I've traveled this tunnel, gosh, thousands of times at least. In the original train station build, which I will try to have screenshots of and give context of what this original building looked like, it was unfinished. Okay, it never really actually got finished to look like what it could have. I don't know what the because it was me and a few others who built it. I don't know what it was going to look like when it was done, but this remained pretty faithful to that vision. The bottom portion of the train station was grassy, and I think it actually connected to a subway rail system that Gyration made in SSSMP. I didn't have one of those. I didn't make one of those, so it is just empty down here. So it's just grass, and I filled it with tall grass because Beta 1.7. And because I didn't have any tall grass in these chunks. This was like the first time I actually put tall grass anywhere. So a nice little grassy garden area. And this was actually like a mob farm in Beta 1.7, because you know how mob spawning works. In early beta versions, it is basically just torches, light, and grass. That's all they needed. So this was usually filled with mobs, but ever since Beta 1.8, there's been no mobs in here. So if we head up here, up to the staircase, you're up to the second level, the sea level platform. So this is where you will access by boat, and you can access it from all 4 directions, which I did use this every now and then, like I said, till I made the tunnel. And then finally, to get up to the first main floor, or first floor, I don't know how to really describe it, is up through here. And this is the just main body of the train station. So a lot to discuss. First thing to mention is that this is the main floor, and it has these large windows and these lamps and these decorative blocks all around. This is kind of like the lobby, so just imagine people walking around through here or whatever. You know, I've never been to a train station in real life, so this is just me pulling this out of my ass. So, but in through here is the office, I guess you could say. You have a receptionist at the desk here with a computer. Maybe like a filing cabinet, and some more storage of just things, and maybe like a little waiting area as well. This idea here was kind of like a cartography area. Maybe people here are actually mapping the area out. So I do have a map in here. I also have a map here as well, that kind of shows the whole area. Unfortunately, maps kind of suck in beta Minecraft. They're kind of hard to see anything, but I do have them, so let's put that away. And this map is pretty much the same, just a lot less developed. The big thing I wanted to do was, in this train station, was have a lot more detail, and a lot more decoration going on. So I built these flags that I quite liked. My inspiration was basically just, you know, earth, green, and, you know, for land, blue for water, very basic stuff. And I do like the shape of these flags. I quite like them. And I have a nice chandelier above, just like in the original train station. And up here, there is a ladder to come up here. Where is it? Yeah, right there. If you come up this, you have this area here. Now this is like a place to adjust world clocks. I built these clocks here because, you know, if this was like a national building, I don't know, you just want to see what time it is in other parts of the world. Now, of course, this is Minecraft, and I basically just pulled this out of my ass, so I didn't know really where to really link this to. So one of the clocks, I'm like, oh, this is the Alpha Mining Town. This is what time they're in. Beta City, this is where we are now. And I link this, and you can just supposedly adjust this if you needed to. So that was the loose idea I had there. And that pretty much entails all the decoration on the inside here. Now, this isn't over in terms of the interior. These levels here in the original build were unused. because I put the roof there and had no way to access it. And I was thinking about trying to build a staircase down in here to get up to them, but I did the same thing that we did in the original build and just kind of cut it off. But there is actually a way to get up there, so let's go do that right now. So if we go through the portal at the Industrial Province area here, we enter the Nether. The Beta Land City train station Mayor's Office. So if you actually enter through this portal, you actually end up in the upper part of the train station. I don't know why, but I thought it was funny to have this place only access hell itself. I guess it makes sense for a politician in an office, I suppose. So that's why I decided to do it. So the decoration in this place is insane, and I'm quite happy with how it all looked and worked out. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the mayor's desk, appointments only. So he has a nice large desk with some papers. These pressure plates are like maybe just stacks of papers and files around. I actually didn't put a computer here, I forgot, but that's fine. Maybe this mayor is old school, doesn't need a computer. So we have a nice filing cabinet slash bookshelf storage behind them. Plenty of books and files, because, you know, important mayor duties, I suppose. We have this like nice little pattern with the glowstone that goes around this office, which I quite like. And actually at nighttime you can actually see this pattern through this window, and I think it's quite cool. Now up in the ceiling we have this was originally a creeper face, but it was too big, and I thought a creeper face was unoriginal, so I decided to go with like just a basic smiley face, which I don't know what's more unoriginal, I suppose, a creeper face or a smiley face, you decide. But over here we have another shelf using the stairs to kind of make this uniform shelf. Actually, this could work as like a wine cellar. I mean, maybe you shouldn't have a wine cellar or like wine storage in your workspace, but what do I know? Over here we have a couch with a couple end tables. And what is this? I don't remember. Oh, I remember. Maybe that is wine storage, because I think over here this was like a tabletop, like a mini bar. I mean, if you're the mayor of the office or whatever, you are you can have privileges. So this is like a little mini bar, and this is like maybe a fridge or a cooler that has booze or beer or anything in it. So I believe that's what this is. Like I built this a while ago, so I'm kind of struggling to remember what all of this is, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct about this. We have another couch over here with a nice little table, and the last thing, this is a piano, and it's a grand piano. It has the shape of a grand piano, and I managed to build a piano with very little blocks, with a white and black wool, and painting and some slabs for like the little music stand for your sheet music. I really like how this looks, honestly. I think if you're going to make a piano in Minecraft, especially old Minecraft, this is the way to do it. Because every time I've seen a piano build in Minecraft, it's always huge and extravagant, but if you're going to build it in a room, this is perfect. And as a piano enthusiast myself, this really hit me right in the right spot. So yeah, this is the mayor's office. Quite happy with this. I'm glad that this unused area in the original train station build in NSSP was repurposed to be something decorative and a lot more thought out. And like I said in the original, it was completely unused. So yeah, that was the mayor's office, and that is everything with the Beta City train station, the reconstruction of the NSSP train station. For all those guys who were on that server and who I haven't talked to in a long time, I hope you appreciate this. If you see this video, I hope this brings you good memories and fond memories and good times that we had on that server. And even though NSSS is pretty much obsolete these days and pretty outdated, it is nice to look back and think of all the cool things that we did. Now, building this train station is what really put the hammer down of inspiration for this world. And when I was done with this, it was August, and pretty much the end of summertime, for reference. Now, of course, these bridges all extend from the train station, because I was going to build all sorts of different things from these bridges. So if we head back inside here, we have the southeast bridge. It's the industrial province. We have the northeast bridge, is the Beta Homestead. We have the north bridge, goes to a village, which we'll talk about soon, called the Gildenvale Village, a whole building project that I did. The southwest bridge leads to a tunnel called the Meteor Tunnel, and I'll explain the context for that later. And the west bridge leads to the Beta City, which we'll talk about later as well. And the last one over here is Southwest Bridge Holiday Island, which is not really an island, but it's as close as I can come up with. We'll talk about that soon as well. This is the South Bridge, the 2,500 blocks ABR rail line. So this is the rail line that I talked about in the beginning that goes all the way to the alpha chunks. And I actually did this in beta 1.7 as well, so this is a good time to talk about this. So this rail line, I made a video about this. Actually, let's actually ride the minecart, shall we? I made a video about this rail line a little while ago, just kind of a teaser showcasing did I finish the rail, and this was what I did in beta 1.7. I did this before. I actually did this before I built the train station. I built the rail first because I knew that I would be going through a lot of resources to build that bridge, and I wanted to get as much as I could for that before doing this build here. So if we take the minecart, I actually wish I wrote down the exact specs of this rail in terms of its length, and how much iron and gold and everything that I used. But I didn't decorate this rail, okay? In terms of the bridge here, it's just a floating bridge. I did not have enough time to decorate this bridge. I would have, if I could. The last thing we're going to talk about for beta 1.7 is this ship here. Now, I'm a bit out of order in terms of what I did but in terms of beta 1.7.3, this is the last thing we're going to talk about. So, I needed to build a ship here, okay? This is a shipyard, obviously. I need to build a ship. Now, what would have made more sense than a little tiny pirate ship like this would probably be like a big cargo ship. But if you actually take a look at this lake here, there's only one access point, and it's through this area, and I blocked most of it off with this dock. So if we're gonna do something realistic, nothing's gonna fit through there. So I decided to go something a little bit goofy and go for the this little pirate ship thing here. So let's actually get down here, and let's talk about the outside first. So using fences, using slabs, nothing real special here. What are these called again? Sails. Thank you. Thanks, brain. Yeah, pretty basic sails here as well, but I quite like how this little pirate ship looks. Of course, the fun and cool thing is this down here. Now, these are 6-sided pistons. Now, I'm not going to explain how I made these because I honestly forget, but I watched a video by Boxplayer who explained how to do these funky 6-sided pistons. You can do this with sticky pistons as well. He has a bunch of different videos how to do all different quirky stuff in beta Minecraft if you want to check that out. But that's where I learned how to make these. So I wanted crates, and doing those quirky things with pistons makes these crates, or these blocks that look like crates. And I think everyone's kind of in agreement on that idea. These were used in crates, and I remember them being used on like servers and stuff for decoration. So I quite like these a lot. I wish this was something you could craft, or just a crate block in general. Like, this looks cool. I don't know why you can't just make this, even still after all these years later in modern Minecraft. So these here are barrels, pumpkins with pressure plates on them. I call them barrels. Maybe if this is a pirate ship, which is what I called this, maybe they have barrels of rum or whiskey. I don't know. Probably more rum because that's pirate themed. Yeah, that's it for here. So if we actually walk in here, which you can access from the plank here. This is Captain Crazy Crate's cargo ship, built in beta 1.7.3 on July 20th. So I built this. This is the only build that I dated, by the way. I don't know why I didn't do that for all of them. That would have made my life a lot easier, but whatever. Come down here. This is just the captain's quarters. We have his desk and his bookshelves with maybe like maps or different things on them, and some treasure in the chest. But that is that for this ship, and that is that for beta 1.7.3. So before we get into beta 1.8 and everything that I've done, I want to first talk about what I've done in the Nether. Now, there isn't a whole lot here to show, so this won't take very long. But I figure it is right to update you guys about what happened in the Nether. I promised in the Alpha World Tour that I would update the Nether and build in here and make it a little bit more enjoyable to look at. I have a very hard time building in the Nether. It's such a very empty and blank looking space that... Oh my... What is this? There's water in here? How did this happen? Okay, okay, this was not planned. I promise you. I did not know this was in here. Is there a sign? What is this? What is this thing? Is there a sign anywhere? Is it just like Stonehenge? Okay, well, anyway, what I was trying to say is that I don't really care for building in the Nether, and apparently whoever built this in here, also seemed to have some trouble, it looks like. Whoever built this in here, thinks otherwise, that building in the Nether is perfectly fine to do. And coming up near the end of the video, I did actually share this world amongst friends of mine. So when I say I don't know who built this, it's because I handed this world off to a few other people, and I was kind of in shock because I didn't know it was here. So I guess you learn something new every day, I suppose. And that whole preamble was for me to say that I haven't done much in here other than create a home portal and a rail that goes all the way back to the alpha chunks. So if we actually take this rail and head back to the alpha chunks, there is one thing to show over here, but don't worry, it's not that pretty. Trust me. I built most of this rail in beta 1.6 test build 3. So here we are back at the alpha area. Looks pretty much unchanged. Even the ladder into the void hole is still unchanged. It doesn't even work. But over here, behind the portal to Fort Lofty, is this new area back here. And if we come through here, this is the portal, the beta 1.6 test build 3 chests area. Yes, I got access to these chests. Now, in hindsight, I shouldn't have done this. I didn't use them to cheat or anything. I used them for like some extra building blocks that you can't get normally. Well, I guess let me just show you. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't use any pre-release versions of Minecraft, so I shouldn't have done this one specifically. But I did anyway because I just think this version is very, very fascinating. So here are the chests. They're not in a very fancy format. So I didn't move them all or make them nice and pretty. That's how they spawned. Now, how to do this is very easy. All you have to do is like do some trickery with the level.dat. You don't delete anything or mess anything up. But I will link a video in the description from Bugman CX that explained how to do this in a lot better detail than I'm going to at this current time. But yeah, if you didn't know, we are in the alpha chunks. There's Fort Lofty over there, and here are the chests. Now, the friends that I gave this world to, I told them that if they wanted to use anything out of these chests, they were more than welcome to. I personally wasn't going to do that. I was going to keep them mostly preserved. Only thing I grabbed out of these chests was, I think, some grass blocks, and that might be it. I think grass blocks and some obsidian, but that might have been it. So yeah, there is some missing items in here, but most of this is intact from what it looks like. So yeah, these are the beta 1.6 test build 3 chests. Now I'm pretty sure I got all of them as well. So yeah, there's still some funky stuff in here. So very interesting to have. But in hindsight, I shouldn't have done this, because I originally thought that I'd be playing all of the beta 1.8 pre-releases and the beta 1.9 pre-releases that lead up to 1.0, but I decided to completely ditch that idea, and that was really kind of after I did this, so a little bit too late, but oh well, they're here. It's part of history. But now, let's head back into the Nether. So I played Minecraft Beta 1.8 for several months. I played Beta 1.8 from the end of, or the beginning of August to pretty much Christmas time of 2025. So a lot of that time was spent elsewhere. I wasn't totally playing this game every single day, but I had quite frequent breaks. But just time in total, in real time, that's how much time I was occupied in this version. Now, there is a lot that I have to show you for the remaining portion of this world tour, but the first thing that we are going to talk about is something way over here. The Mushroom Shack, built in Beta 1.8. Now, this is a very simple building. It's meant to just house mushrooms, and you can bone meal them, and they grow up in here, and you can just simply chop them down. This building is simply an excuse for me to use the new blocks in Beta 1.8, and that is the brick slabs, the brick stairs. I think those are the only new blocks in here. But yeah, those are the new building blocks that I could get my hands on. It's one of the better features about Beta 1.8 is the building block selection. The bricks and the stairs are great, obviously, and the glass panes are awesome as well. And you can still pick up glass panes, too, in Beta 1.8. I don't know why they removed that feature, because that was great. The Melon Barn, built in Beta 1.8 to Beta 1.8.1. So this is a very traditional melon farm design, at least on the inside here, using pistons. So yeah, I actually did eventually learn how to use redstone and set up a melon farm back here, as you can probably see some of the redstone-ness going on back here. And this took me quite some time because, like I said earlier, my redstone knowledge is rather limited, but this does work, and I'm very happy with it. And the design of this building is rather strange. I wanted to have the long building shape because of the pistons, but I didn't know how to make it look pretty, and I tried to use vines here to kind of break up the texture of the wood, but the vines didn't really do anything, so it looks rather strange. But it is a funny looking building, and building with the actual melon blocks themselves is interesting. They are a very interesting texture. I don't know why they made melons yellow, because typical watermelon is green, with maybe a little bit of yellow. But the best part about it is the melon slice here, which is pixel art, which is something that I'm not good at and I don't like doing, but I did use up all of my wool and cloth resources and dye to make this, because by the time Beta 1.8 came around, all peaceful mobs seemed to just stop spawning. It was rather strange. Of course, that's something that I knew about, but I did not think it would be as drastic of a thing that it was. So I ran out of a lot of mobs in the area for quite some time, so making this was quite the challenge. Anyway, let's get down here and actually show how the farm works. If you don't know, pistons push down on the melons and they pop off. So press the lever, and there we go. Melons for days. Okay, so up here, up this ladder, is the storage area. It's empty. Has one chest with all my melons and an iron hoe. And yeah, that's it. This is pretty much it for this building. Now we move on to a couple other small things over here. Right here is very small, it's not even a build, it's just something I want to show. It's a pink sheep pit. I have a pink sheep in here, and in Beta 1.8, these guys don't despawn. If they do despawn, they never come back, so, as I mentioned earlier. So, I actually found this pink sheep very recently, and I was quite shocked, because I played Beta for a long time, and I did not see one of these. So, this is great to see, and I don't know if I'll ever do anything with this pink sheep. I don't know if it'll be here when I update to 1.0. If not, oh well, we'll maybe find another one someday. But over here was kind of an unfinished space, but this was a little setup that I used to hunt some endermen and some mobs. Not a very efficient mob farm, but it did the trick. So yeah, that about covers the early things I did in beta 1.8. Now, I was very concerned when I updated the beta 1.8. I thought this update was going to kill my playthrough. I've been playing nothing but old school Minecraft for years now, and I was very concerned. However, the opposite happened. Playing beta 1.8 had continued my enjoyment for this world, getting new building blocks and everything of the sort. Even the new mechanics, such as the bow and the new combat mechanics, even the hunger to some extent. Now, the hunger can be annoying if you sprint all the time, but having food stack in your inventory properly is a huge win for me. So, for as much time as I spent in beta 1.8, I think it's only right to assume that I did most of my building in this version, and now we're going to talk about the two big building projects that lasted until the end of 2025, and let's get into it, shall we? So, my inspiration for to build this village was obviously beta 1.8 brings villages to Minecraft, and I wanted to build a village in honor of that feature being added. Because of course, I'm not going to be able to get an actual village close nearby because all of these chunks around me are already loaded. So I wanted to build one, and with a unique house and a unique story behind it. One thing that I miss doing is building things and having an incredible amount of lore behind each building. And each building here that I'm going to showcase has some sort of lore behind it, and this whole village has a lore behind it. And another big inspiration for this village in general is actually something that I've seen and played in Red Dead 2. So I'll try to keep this as spoiler free as possible, but there is a village in Red Dead 2 that you can come across called Butcher's Creek. And Butcher's Creek has these people who live in it that are kind of redneckish, more hillbillyish people, but they're really more or less secluded from the rest of the world, it seems like, and they are heavily disfigured. That was the big inspiration for this village as well. So let's get started with the first building that I made in this village. So the first house that I made here is Eddy the Butcher's house. Now this house here is based off the pre-beta 1.8 village houses. This is in a famous screenshot that was posted by Notch, I believe, in right around the development of beta 1.8. These were the first village houses to be used before Jeb made the much superior ones later on. And these village houses were were also used in mods like ImpDev Plus, and I think a couple others use these houses as well. They're very simplistic looking and very basic. But I tried to really spice it up with a lot of foliage and the usage of vines, because vines is the new block added in beta 1.8. Now, the lore behind this house is a guy named Eddy lives in this house, and he's different and has some blood hanging around the house for whatever reason. But his profession is a butcher. So we go into the house. He's got some butchering going on here. He's maybe a bit messy. He doesn't really clean up after himself. But there is meat being sliced and cut on this table to be sold to the other people in the village. And it is kind of gross that he sleeps right next to where he works. And his chest has some remnants of things that he's butchered. So yeah, this is Eddy's house. We move on to the next building, which is this house right here. Next house in the village is Mike's Treehouse. Mike seems like a pretty cool guy, I must say. If we come up here, he's got a nice landing area here. This is peak vibes, if you know what I'm saying. There's a lot going on here that's just nice and chill, man. Very great area to hang out. And Mike has it made in this treehouse. And he's kind of high and above everybody else. Maybe not in his personality, but at least in his physical life, he's quite distant from everybody else. You can see more from his high vantage points. We got a nice reading selection here. He reads a lot of books. He knows a lot of things. He's like Tyrion from Game of Thrones, if you ever read that book or watched the show. If you come up here, we have the final thing of the treehouse, a nice little lookout tower where you can see everything, even the train station if you move close enough, or not. I don't know. But yeah, you can see the rest of the village for sure. So yeah, Mike's treehouse. Mike seems like a pretty cool guy. We come around here, we go to this nice house right here. And before we actually talk about this house, we should talk about this common visited structure in the middle of the village. Here is the Great Eye. So the Great Eye is a structure that these people built. And I guess we'll figure out why they have such a affinity towards the Great Eye. So if we actually walk into this house, we'll talk about Darren, the chieftain of Gildenvale. So this is the nicest house in the village. If you take a look, we have a nice facade out front and kind of taken some inspiration from the pre-beta 1.8 village houses. We head in here, we have a nice little kind of man cave-ish kind of base here. We have a nice little lounge up here with a big window. We have another lounge down here that looks into a cave that I explored ages ago. And then over here we have a nice little garden, a little reed garden to take a look at. Up here is another lounge with a bed. Oh, this is supposed to be a second bed here, but I guess not. With a nice double bed, because that's very comfy. If Darren is the chieftain of the village, he needs his comfort and he needs his space, and he has all of these things to take care of. If you take a look in his chest, another ender pearl. It must be that these ender pearls are linked to these eyes, to the Great Eye structure out here. Very weird. But this is a very nice base, quite like it. We'll move on to the next house of the village. So moving along in chronological order, we have the next house here, Harrold the Hermit's house. Harold's a guy that you can't really talk to. He has his door locked, but thankfully we have the key. And he's not home. So if we walk in the house, it's pretty basic in here. He lives a very simplistic life. And he has a very weird skylit window. This house really reminds me of an InDev house. So he must be a huge fan of InDev at least. Yet again, another ender pearl. These people really do love their ender pearls. Very basic InDev inspired house, obviously. Of course, a little bit more detailed. We have this little humble place right here from Carol the Baker. Carol seems to be a very laid-back kind of girl. I think she's also very fond of Mike. They seem to be kind of two peas in a pod. They're pretty chill, very humble, even though they do live so far apart. Carol's a down-to-earth woman. She likes baking some food. She has things in here as well. She seems to be not having an ender pearl in here. Maybe she gave it to Mike for safekeeping. Who knows? Very humble house, just like Mike's, just like the few other people, like Harrold. Not much to say here for Carol, but she's doing well for herself, it seems. Of course, how could I forget? We have this house over here. Gretchen the Sorcerer. Gretchen is kind of... she is kind of a bit weird, and she lives near Eddy. Eddy and Gretchen are kind of the outcasts of the village because, well, for obvious reasons. It's kind of obvious for Eddy. He's a bit excited with the meat cleaver, and we have Gretchen over here who seems to be very into sorcery. And we all know about those people who are into witchcraft. They can be a bit goofy. Would you like a fortune? I'm not sure, but we'll go up anyway and see what the witch has to say. And we have a nice little den here to that's nice and spooky and dimly lit. If we move down here, we move into the more beachy type area here. We got Roger's General Store. Roger is your run-of-the-mill normal guy who just wants to go to work, get paid, and go home. And he has this nice little general store here to get anything you needed in this poor little village. If you come to Roger's store, make sure you're very nice and very kind to him and just get what you need and get the fuck out. Of course, if you visit Roger's store, you could spend time at the beach. We got nice little cabanas, and we have some fires to roast maybe some hot dogs, or make some marshmallows, make some s'mores on the fire if you so desire. The next house here is quite overgrown, but is very modest looking as well. We have Andrew the Carpenter. Andrew, much like the other guys, seemed to be a very run-of-the-mill, blue collar working kind of guys. And in this chest we have more ender pearls. Very strange, but nonetheless it is kind of a pattern at this point. And up here they have a nice little loft that they can do lofty things in, I suppose. Another basic little home, pretty modest, nothing to be too worked up about. But if we head over here, down to this house down here, we have Paul's hut. Paul is probably the weirdest person in this village that isn't a potential murderer and potential sorcerer. He lives in a hut with a dirt floor. I guess modern commodities are not his thing, but anyway, it's pretty quaint little hut, I guess. So good job, Paul. Thumbs up from me. All right, welcome to the church. It's a bit dark and a bit spooky right now, but maybe that's probably good for the vibes that we're trying to go for. So, Church of the Humble Lance. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Seems we have some more imagery of an eye. And there seems to be some scripture up here. Let's take a read. Shall we? The eye can be many forms. It is the symbol of the darkness. The darkness has arrived. He carries blocks. He stands tall. We must repent, pledge loyalty to the dark creatures. The eyes are the key. Find them, 12, they watch. If I have any critical and observant bone in my body, I would assume this has something to do with Endermen. And if the Endermen are messing with these people, then I don't blame them, because they piss me off as well. So, makes sense to me. Now let's go check out Father Phil's house. Maybe he has more answers to the scripture that I read. Oh boy, this seems like a very interesting setup here. Oh man, we got some stuff going on here. Rallying the populace into fear has done me wonders. I do not fear what I preach, but profits benefit all. Built on blood, I've made this world a better place, I presume. Interesting. I mean, I think the Endermen are real. I've certainly dealt with them. But apparently Father Phil did not think they were real. And he profited off of it. Seems like karma is a bitch. Well, poor Father Phil's never coming back there. I guess let's come back to the final house of the village, the Lawman Office, which seems to be as vacant as the rest of the houses, as well as the cell. I guess one final thing of note in this village is there seems to be a freshly impacted meteor at the bottom of this mountain. Quite strange. Don't know why that's there, but interesting nonetheless. So that does it for the Gildenvale Village. I had a lot of fun making this village. Probably the most fun I had building anything in this world was this village. The lore that I came up with is rather loose, of course, but it makes for a great little story. And if you didn't notice, as I moved around here, we got some mushrooms and a lot of overgrowth in this village. Like I said, it's very poor. It's a very kind of rundown little village. But these things, I put like little ruins around the place, and these ruins are meant to represent maybe this was built on like an ancient burial ground of some sorts, or there was once an ancient civilization here that was wiped out, or just fell away over time. Like this one here seems to be a pillar that once stood tall and broke and fell over the mountainside. So I had a lot of fun building this. There's a lot of detail here, a lot of lore, a lot of neat, interesting things. A stark comparison to what I started out with in the beta Homestead. This has a lot more thought behind it, and I'm a huge fan of this. And as someone who started this YouTube channel with trying to do something like this in mind, with the Classic Plus City, this is a million times better than that will ever be, because I planned something out and I had some inspirations that really carried me through, and I really do enjoy this little village quite a bit. So what the whole world was made for, this whole project, ever since the beginning of 2025, this is what it was leading up to. This is something that I had thought about ages ago, and I could finally do it. Unfortunately, by the time I started building this, it was well into like October, September of this year, and I was running out of time. So not only did I build in this city, I had friends who helped me build different things that helped completely finish this area and to be a much better than what I was originally planning for it to be. So thank them very much for this. So let's get started with everything in this city. So if we walk through the archway here, welcome to Beta City Heights. We have the very first building is this building here. Now this is a very typical modern style building. Now you will notice from my stuff, most of my stuff here in this village, it was unfinished and basically left unfinished. So extremely basic buildings that have no interior, no way to even get into them, and have some basic design on them. So this is my take on like a modern style just building. If we move on to the next building, it's this one right here. Yet again, the same thing as this one, has no interior, no detailed exterior. It's supposed to be very sleek looking, very like sleek office building type thing. Compared to the rest of the city, it's extremely undetailed and kind of ugly. So I won't call this one basic. I'll call it ugly. I'll call it what it is. So those are easy to talk about because they're basically just decoration. They don't really serve any purpose. They don't have some neat lore, unlike the village. We move on to this part here, and this is the Welcome Center. And the Welcome Center really looks like a face, especially on this side. I did a lot better with detailing on this building. We have a lot more slabs and stairs and stuff. We got some hanging bushes and stuff that use soul sand and not dirt, because the soul sand actually looks better than dirt does. This side looks like a face. We got some eyebrows, some eyes, a nose, and a mouth. It kind of looks like an old man. It's honestly really goofy. It's goofy as hell. I tried to use some note blocks and some different blocks altogether to make this look different. And this might have worked in the village because there's a lot of wacky shit going on over there, but it looks really out of place here. So it's just kind of, it is what it is. But down here we have a nice little, like a little area for people to congregate around, and we have a little gallows here, which may not be a fitting thing for a city, but they do work. So if you commit a crime and you can't do the time, I guess they'll just hang you instead. So you can have, there is a working gallows here, which is pretty neat. At the center of this city is a little modern art structure. I believe this was the first thing I did actually make, other than this building. Like I said, my memory is a bit fuzzy on all of this. But this was kind of the centerpiece of this city, and I don't live in a city, but I would really hedge the bet that there's a lot of modern art bullshit structures that are put on display, and this was my inspiration for that. So we have this fake name that means nothing, Linksh, I've decided to call it. It's a word you can barely even say. Some friends of mine just call it Lynch, but I was trying to go for like Linksh, some hard to pronounce stupid name. And we have this nice weird structure that just looks neat, I suppose. So here is the Nature Museum, requested by Greffen. Now, Greffen's original request on the Alpha War Tour video was a marine museum, talking about the squid milk, something to do with Beta 1.2. Of course, I overlooked all of that, and I morphed his suggestion into a nature museum, and actually showcases some other things. It's a very unique shape. I do quite like it. And it has a nice, neat roof, using lapis as a nice trim on the outside with the snow and the wood. It kind of looks like an ice cream cone, which wasn't really my intention, but I like this building. It's very small, and it's much better than that one over there. But it has the same kind of inspirations going on with it. It's very nice to look at. But we'll talk about all of these details in a minute. So let's go on the inside. So since this was requested by Greffen, and I know him a good amount, I wanted to pour some of his inspirations into this build as well, as much as my own. When you walk in here, we have a very interesting layout. It's pretty empty up here until you realize that this is a parkour course. You have to parkour to get up to this top level and to the other top level, but we'll talk about that in a second. Over here would be his office, where he can sit and do whatever nature museum people have to do, I guess. I don't know, archive things or whatnot. I don't know, but that's not the important part. The important part is this little obstacle course here. We get up here. Let's see if I can do this. I can do this. I made this, so I should be able to do it. Get up here. From here, you have two choices. You can keep going to go up to the top, or you can go into the balcony out there. Let's actually do the balcony first. Oh, cool. I made it first try. It's probably not that hard of a jump, but I have difficulty with it. So out here is like an observation deck, and we have a nice little like place to sit, eat some snacks, drinks, whatever, and take a look at the beautiful train station at night and the rest of the world. Well, there isn't really much over there now, is there? Or you can use this little seeing glass thing. If you look into the thing, you can see out the seeing scope. This is like those things you see on like balconies, like overlooking lakes or whatever. You can like see things out far. Now, I guess it doesn't really make much sense because there's things in the way, but there is one of these here. Now, if I go back over here, I missed that jump. Probably can't make that jump. Let's do this again. Whoop. I can fly. It's creative mode, but I want to be in spirit of this here and do this correctly. Let's see if I can get to this. I missed. How long is this going to take? Okay, I got there. Oh, no. No! I almost made it. Okay, I made it. See? I proved to you that I can do it. Anyway, this is the nature museum section. So the first thing to show off here is the different wood types and different leaves. So we have oak, birch, spruce, and unassigned. Well, this is a different data value log than this. I'm assuming this will turn into a jungle, a log, and these will turn into jungle leaves when we update to release 1.2 in the future. Because I don't know what data value these actually are though, but it was some random data value log that I got one day, and these leaves come from the trees over in the alpha area, often referred to as alpha leaves. The next thing is the saplings. Same thing. Oak, birch, spruce, and sapling that doesn't stack with this sapling. So, there you go. The thing is the sponge. Now, I got this sponge from the beta 1.6 test build 3 chest. Moving on, we have the next plant to discuss is cactus, pumpkin, melon, sugarcane, the mushrooms, red and brown, rose, and the flower, and rip no fern. I didn't generate this world to have any ferns. I couldn't find any, but the ferns do exist, and the grass. Of course, there's the shrub as well. I got the shrub from the beta 1.6 test build 3 chest. I could have put that there, but I decided not to. So, and the last thing is vines, and this is all the plant life. I think this is all the plant life that you can get in the world. Of course, the sponge you can't obtain normally, and the grass. You can pick up the grass in beta 1.8. The fern you can as well, but yeah. So this is everything for the Nature Museum. Let's head back down. So now let's talk about the last thing that I built in this world before I handed this world off to other people. Friends of mine, other members of the Lexi Plus team, helped me out with this world greatly. But this is the last thing that I built. And this was another request by somebody I know, SteleCat. And this is the well-stacked Waffle House. Asymmetric building is something I'm not super good with, but every time I do it, I love it. So I really like the exterior of this building. and it uses the note blocks well, unlike that stupid building over there. So we walk in here, we have welcome to the well-stacked Waffle House, requested by SteleCat. And this is the queue, this is where you would wait to be seated. I've never been to a Waffle House. I don't live in an area that has a Waffle House. I think the closest one to me is like 6 hours away, so not in a reasonable distance. But I don't think they have like a restaurant queue. I think it's more like of a fast food place, but I could be wrong. Anyway, the first thing is the restrooms with a trash can. We have the main restrooms. We got the urinals, a shelf to put things on to if you have to pee, and the stalls. Look at that. And the sink and a hand dryer. So this is the main portion of the restaurant. We have some nice booths here and some tables. Up here is the counter where you can pick whatever you want to eat. Back here is the kitchen. You know, got like a fryer, a sink, a stove, all sorts of different things. Whatever a Waffle House employee would need. And I guess meat. This is like a freezer. Put all the frozen stuff in, like frozen meat. I'm assuming like they would cook like breakfast sausage and bacon and stuff, so it's not too out of the realm of possibility. More storage for like spices and flour and all sorts of different things. Over here is the vending machine or the soda machine, and I just have some funny names for soda here. Sprunk, if you guys remember from GTA. We have Pebis, and then Kofola, which I think is an actual soda from some part of the world. So, yes. I knew at one point, but I forgot. Over here is a salad bar, because if you're going to be eating some high-carb breakfast, you're going to be eating some salad. We have the loner chairs, so you sit here and stare at the wall. Always going to have a loner chair, or some people refer to as the cuck chair. So, maybe not in a restaurant, but we do have the loner chair. We have like the back portion of the restaurant. Some nice bigger dining tables that are more private from the rest of the restaurant. And like a nice corner booth. And then another trash can with these nice plants. And then we head to the outdoor dining area. And the outdoor dining area is pretty much what you expect. Some outdoor tables, some seating, nice fire pit. And that is the total coverage of the Waffle House. I love this building, okay? For an interior design, I pretty much did this on the fly. I did not plan this one out, much like some other things. I did this all on the fly, and it looks great. I absolutely love how this looks. So, big fan of this. I hope SteleCat, hope you enjoy this. And also, Greffen, I hope you enjoy your nature museum as well. I hope you guys got exactly what you requested. If not, then oh well. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys for the suggestions overall. And by the time I was done building this, I was pretty much out of time, and I was honestly kind of burnt out from playing beta 1.8 for so long. I had many others help me build in this world, and the people that helped me made this a lot easier on me. So the people that helped me, I'd like to shout them out now. We have Matt, Xelanater, Mira, and Method. Alright, let's talk about this library here, built by Matt. If you guys don't know who Matt is, he is a fellow content creator and a Legacy Plus team member. I will be linking his channel in the description below. But Matt does a lot of cool things. He's a pretty good builder, as you can see. I love the look of this library. I love his use of birch logs here and cloth to really flesh out this roof. I quite like it. Oh, I didn't even notice that there was pressure plates up here. That's pretty cool. So yeah, Matt's a pretty cool dude. You should definitely check out his channel. He does a couple different series, I believe, still. I think the one that he's been doing recently is like an evolution style thing, which is basically what this world is. And he started all the way in Classic, and he's now currently in Dev, I believe. So yeah, he's got a lot of cool stuff going on there. So definitely check it out. So let's explore the library here. I guess we'll take a better look outside. His detailing is on point. I love his use of stairs and trapdoors, and using a nice little garden. We have like a nice little garden out front here. Very nice. Oh, and the signs too. I like his use of signs as well for some texture. I don't use signs and things like that enough. I'm pretty vanilla, I guess, when it comes to building some things, but I'm still ever learning. He also is using some fences and some fence gates. The fence gates look rather nice in this fashion. Like this kind of thing, this kind of thing here is just something I don't think of. I don't really think outside the box very much, I suppose. But yeah, I love the roof shape. The signs and everything really help with the roof here. I'm a huge fan. Quite like it a lot. Alright, so if we head inside... Oh, we get a doorbell with a broken double door, because this is how doors work in Minecraft till, I don't know, 1.2, I think. So it looks like we have the librarian's desk up here, and we have the main library in here. Get some nice overhead lighting. More usage of the fence gates and the fences. Quite nice. We got a bench. And is there anything over here? Yeah, another bench. So yeah, pretty cramped in here, but I like the use of the stone bricks on the floor. I keep forgetting that there is no pick block in this stupid creative mode. My goodness. So it looks like there is an upstairs and a downstairs. Let's go upstairs first. Up here we have like a, oh, looks like a little cafe. Is there a sign here that says anything? No, I guess not. So we got more books over here. More window. This is a nice little window, and like a nice little garden thing here too, a little flower box. Yeah, I like this a lot. This is really cool. I'm a huge fan. Let's head downstairs. Okay, head down. WC and smiley face. I don't know what that means. I feel like I should know what that means, but I don't. Anyway, but looks like we have the men's restroom and the women's restroom. Pretty cool. Oh, I like. See, this is really cool how different people build bathrooms in different ways. Like the bathroom from the Waffle House and the bathroom in here is quite different. But let's check out the men's restroom. Nice, nice. And back here, it looks like we have the the XXX adult section. And there's quite a bit here. Wow, it's like a very, very dungeon-esque place down here. Nice. I guess I'll visit this place later. Well, that does it for the library. Nice job, Matt. I really am happy that you built this. This is a nice addition to this area, and you really made this area look quite nice, especially with your outside decoration here. I tried to match it with this like park situation going on here, so everything kind of fits quite nicely. So, yet again, thank you a lot. And now let's move on to the next person in line, Mira. So, you probably have been thinking, why the hell is there a face of Jimmy Carter in this area here? Well, that was a result of Mira doing whatever the hell he wants. See, when I handed this world out to these folk, I told them they could pretty much do whatever they wanted, as long as it was within this area. And I was not expecting this. So we have his face here for all eternity. And Mira seems to be quite a fan. That's that. I don't know how he built this. I honestly don't know if he cheated or not. But alas, we move on to the next building. Here we have the HFC headquarters, built by Yoniko. Now, this building is looks like a pretty standard office building here. We got some desks and stuff in here, I guess. There isn't much decoration in here. A bit simplistic in here, but hey, you know what? That is for an office building, I guess. That's just how things look. But yeah, I think that's all of it. I don't think there's anything. Oh, there is a staircase here. Oh wow, I haven't. Oh, this is this is I guess this is where the boss sits. I guess, I don't know. there's a lot of wasted space up there, but that's funny. Well, cool. That was quick. Let's move on to the next few buildings. So the last person who I handed this world off to was another fellow content creator, Xelanater. And Xelanater has been known for doing this whole evolution world type thing for quite a long time. But Xelanater here worked rather hard. He built quite a bit here. He built this building here, this one here, that floating island over there, and the building on top of it, the Christmas tree, this massive ass wheat farm, which I don't know why he built this, because there was one over there he could have used, but alas. This stone structure thing, which is quite weird, and then this hole that he dug in the shape of like a cone. Which, is there anything even down here? I actually did not check. Is there anything down here? Okay, this house here is called the Starter-ish House, made by Xelanater. I know Xelanater has left quite a bit of signs around. Some materials from the test built 3 chests. And a present found. Interesting. We got quite a bit of material here. Yeah. And this is a very Xelanater styled house. I can tell for sure. Down here. Oh, here's more random mining nonsense. Over here across the way we have this brick styled house using the brick stairs and these brick slabs because those are new in beta 1.8 as I've previously discussed. Sandstone hut by Xelanater. It's yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So the second to last thing we have to discuss today is this Christmas tree here. Now, Xelanater decided to build this Christmas tree. This was something I was already planning on doing, but he decided to do it for me, which I appreciate a lot. So let's go check it out. Now, spoiler alert, I do know what this is here. We have a present. I don't know what's inside, but he has left me a present, and I guess these were the coordinates that the house was referring to. Let's see what's inside. A golden apple. He must have... Can you craft these in beta 1.8? Maybe you can. For some reason, I think you can craft these, but I'm guessing... Oh, you can't get... Well, you can't get an apple. How do you get an apple in beta 1.8? Maybe in Stronghold chest? There's no way that he found a Stronghold. I'm assuming he found this in a dungeon. If that's the case, it's pretty cool. If that dungeon was here, in this area, I'm gonna be pissed. Because I have such a hard time finding dungeons. And there's a dungeon with a golden apple underneath me this whole time. That would be quite hilarious. And with that, we have the final build in this area, built by Xelanater. Let's go down here and read the sign. Snowy Island by Xelanater. So let's head up. I'm not doing the waterfall because it's lame and slow. Oh, we're missing an ice block. I guess another piece of Enderman thievery. Down here we have like a little open cave. Oh, that's where the water comes up. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so this little shack here. Got some ice. This is probably from the test build 3 chests. I think this will become a snow biome in 1.0 and 1.1. By 1.5, this whole island should be covered in snow. Well, I guess we'll have to see in 1.0. But, yeah. Well, there you have it. As the sun sets, we conclude this beta world tour. This was an absolute monstrosity of a video. I was not expecting for this to take so long, but nonetheless, we are done. I'm very happy with everything that I have done here, and very happy with everyone who contributed to the world here. And from such humble beginnings to more moderate gameplay to very extravagant, at least for me, very extravagant builds, such as this one right here. This is more than I could have ever asked for in a world like this, and I'm very happy with how everything turned out. Well, everyone, I think that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it was a long one, but I do appreciate if you made it all the way to the very end here. And I will reward you, all of you who made it to the very end of this video, with a little bit of a montage of some honorable mentions, some screenshots and things that I took that didn't really fit in the main portion of the video. So stick around for the very end of that. But one thing I will ask you guys before I leave is what I should do in this world moving forward. As you can see, we are in 1.0. So this is the main current version of the world that I'm in right now, the most up-to-date. So I will be eager to see what you guys think I should do moving forward. So leave your comments for that if you are so inclined. If you are new to this channel, what I do a lot of random Minecraft stuff, a lot of old school Minecraft stuff, a lot of mods, even occasionally modern Minecraft if I feel like it. It all depends what's going on. But my main goal on this channel is to make some music. I love music, it is my main passion. So if you are interested in any of what you see here, by all means, subscribe, whatever. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna finally end this long video, and I will see you guys next time, whenever that may be. Goodbye.